Hey, hey, hey. All right. So today our topic is your income increased, but so did your stress. So I asked you, have you ever looked at your paycheck and said, I make more money. Why do I still feel stressed? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hey, hey. So welcome to Talk Tuesday. If you've been here before, welcome back. If it's your first time, Talk Tuesday is our weekly segment where we go over tips to help you enhance your finances. I'm Coach D, your financial coach, and I want to help you to reach and exceed your financial goals while still enjoying life in the process. Hey, happy belated birthday. Everybody say happy birthday. So, this month's topic is financial pressure, growth, and the next level. That's what we'll be talking about this month. And today's topic is your income increase, but you're stressed it too. And this happens a lot of times. We think that you're welcome. We think that when we are going to make more money or when we start making more money, that everything is going to smooth out. There's going to be no stress, nothing's happening, and everything's going to be okay. But what we soon find out is with more income, sometimes we'll have this same stress that we had with our finances prior to getting that raise. Hey, to how we're feeling now, after we have the raise, or sometimes when you have a raise, you might feel even more stress. Crazy as it seems, you literally we think when we get more money, everything's gonna be okay. And then we get more money and it always not always feels like everything's okay. And that's because our stress doesn't come from our paycheck, it comes from what comes with our paycheck. So, when might you feel that stress? I have a list of a couple things. Like I just said, the raise. When you get a raise, you might feel that stress with the more income and still feeling the stress. If you change jobs, maybe you'll get a different job at your current location, which of course comes with more income. And because nobody's moving, usually for the same pay. So, you'll have more stress. If you're in business and your business is growing, you have more money coming in, could still be stressed or have more stress, might get a bonus at work, but we expect to feel like everything's, much better and not always the case. So we're going to go over I have a couple of things, a couple of reasons why your income increased and you still feel the same stress or more stress than you originally felt at your previous income level. So, let's get into it. Number one, your income increased and your lifestyle increased. This is the most common, so I said I'll start with this because one, I probably said this already. Two, you probably already heard this already, but this is a big thing. What we don't realize is as soon as we make more money, we go out and get expenses that are higher than our previous expenses. Hi. We'll go get income that's higher. I mean, go get expenses that are higher because we have more income. And why not? Because we can afford it, right? At least that's what we tell ourselves, right? So we don't, yep. So, we don't consider the fact that, okay, so if my income was here, my expenses were here, and then I got a raise and then took my new expenses up here, I am leaving myself in that same tight squeeze, that same stress that I was already in. If something happens, I'm going to be right here at my income or above. So, this is something that happens the most. This is, you know, more than not, this is why you're still stressed because you just, you're excited. I got more income. I wanted that car. I'm going to get that car, or I wanted that house, or I want to go on that vacation. Guess what? I have more income. I'm going on that vacation. But sometimes we don't even take a time to just see, like, okay, let me get this new income for a month to see how things work out with this new income. How much do I actually have left? And what sometimes we get ahead of ourselves, we don't realize that the income increases but our taxes increase that's coming out of our paycheck. Our deductions increase that are coming out of our paycheck. What else? Just different things, whatever's coming out of your paycheck. Like for me, my my deductions as far as what's coming out for my 401k and things like that. Every time I get a raise, that's a percentage. So that's increasing. My medical, I don't know about everyone's job, but my job, what our medical is based on your income, a percentage of your income. So every time I get a raise, Unfortunately, I had to pay more in medical. So someone who just started is paying less than me on medical. We have the same daggone medical. That kills me, but there's nothing I can do about it. But just think about it. You have, give yourself time. If you have a raise or a raise is coming up, before you go out and spend a lot of money and go, make a big purchase, wait a moment and just see. This is what my income was at this rate. Now let me see how much it is at my next rate. Let me actually see what I'm bringing home the difference before you go out and start buying things because most of your raise could be eaten up in fees, taxes, not fees, but deductions and taxes and things coming out of your check. So you have to be mindful of that. When you do get that raise, excited, celebrate. Of course, we have to be excited, proud of our raise because we've earned it, and it's a wonderful feeling. But before we go out and spend a lot of money, we have to just see what actually is our increase. Because sometimes we think it's going to be more than it actually is. So, you know, see that that's number one. Number two, a reason why our income increased, but we still feel the stress. You sometimes when our income increase, we have more people who depend on us. So this could be common for like if you have like I don't want to say family, but definitely families included. It could be friends in some instances, but usually it's your family. But you're making more money, or before you even get your raise, you were already making, good money, and your family's asking, "Hey, you got $20, you have $30, you have $100. Oh, this bill just came in. Can you help me out?" And listen, I'm going to give it back. I'm going to give it back. So, okay, so then now you're stressed because you already have them asking you questions and then you get a raise and then we're excited, so most times we'll tell people I got a raise, and then you're telling people you got a raise, so what does that make them think? They got a raise. So you got a raise and then they're going to ask you for more money because they know you have more now. So if they were asking you for 100, now they're going to be asking for two because guess what, you make more, they feel like they can ask you for more. And you'll have people that you're like in your family, your friends who feel like mostly family. I don't want to keep saying friends. Family, it is what it is. But your family will feel like, well, you make more than I make, and you have more than I have, so you pretty much owe me. I'm doing bad. I don't have that much, so you have more, so you should just help me out more. You know, no, I earned, I worked hard to get to my higher income. I don't owe you anything. But you have people who truly feel like that. They are owed more from you because you have more than them. Like somehow you're supposed to balance it out because you make more. Like you should be penalized because you make more. The gift that keeps on giving. Yes, that's true. But that's another one that I mean, I'm sure we experience it. We understand what's happening when it's happening, but we need to think about how often that's happening, how much, it's costing us. But you'll have people who literally you're making more than them, so you owe them more. You got it. You just got paid. Excuse me. You don't know what I have to do or what I'm paying or what expenses I have. Everything is increasing, so definitely have to figure things out first before you're getting it. Yes. Yes, and and even with that too, when someone's asking you for money all the time, let me see what I have going on first. Don't be quick to say yes. Someone else will turn their emergency into your emergency. When you didn't even give it, like you get a chance to figure your own things out, and it's like the day before you get paid. When you get paid tomorrow, I really need $100. I gotta get this turned on, or something like that. It's like an emergency, but then it's your emergency, but really it's their emergency. And we care about people, so we don't want to shut them down, but we can't let them, mess us up. I can truly relate to that. But yeah, this is something that happens. So we have to put our foot down like, hey, you know, wait a second, let me see what's going on with my finances, see what I can afford to give, what I can afford to share, what I can afford to help. If I'm getting it back, if I usually don't get it back. So you have to be mindful of that too. People who always say I'm going to give it back on Friday. I'm gonna give it back next week or, whenever, and it doesn't come back to you, think about that too. Because they're not thinking about it when they don't give it back to you. So before you give it, maybe next time you say no. I didn't get it back last time, so I can't afford to not can't afford to give out money and not get it back. They think it's our money, not my money. This is true. So this is another one. Sometimes, we don't realize how much we're giving, how much we're, taking care of people in a sense that not necessarily, maybe not necessarily taking care of them, but in a sense, technically you're taking care of them because you're sponsoring them financially. Um, the next one I have is you are comparing yourself to others. So you are starting to try to do more. So if you get a raise at work or you go to a different department, then maybe the people in the new department are making more money. So when we're hanging out, for um, happy hours or when we're going out for events and things like that, those events might cost more than the events you were doing in your previous position. So the people you were hanging out over here, they're paying for events and things like that that were more feasible that you could afford. Whereas you go over here, I now have a promotion. Now I'm in a different pay range. The people who I'm with in meetings, the people who I'm going to conferences with at work, they're making more money. So when I go places with them, they're making more money, so they're spending more money. So now I have to try to keep up. And we don't realize that that that's happening. We don't realize that, oh, this is just I just put it on my card. But that's something to be mindful of. That's something that could keep you stressed when you get that raise because here I am now. I was hanging out with these people who were my previous I keep losing the word, but my previous position. Those were my friends. Not that they're not my friends anymore, but those are who the people I were hanging with who were going out and we spent, a certain amount of money when we went out versus now I'm going out and I've got a new job and these people are making more money. So when we go out, we're spending more money. That's something that could cause you more stress because usually when you're hanging out at happy hours or going out, things like that with your work friends, you're spending this much money, maybe $100. Let's put a number on it. Like maybe you were spending $100 every time you went out with your previous friends and then coworkers. Yep. So then, when you get to your other position, now the people you're hanging out with, your coworkers, maybe they're spending like 200 every time they're going out. So that's more, that's costing you more. Hey. So that's costing you more. So you have to realize that too can cause you stress. Maybe you don't go out every time. Or maybe you say, oh, I'll meet you guys there. That way you get there after they spent some so that you're not spending as much. You have to find ways, but if you don't want to say, like, I don't want to spend that much money, but do things that can still offset how much you're spending so you can still have a good time. Not because I never want to say don't have a good time and do less and things like that. But we have to do what we can afford and we don't want to overdo things. So whereas now when I go home or in the car on the way home, I'm like, oh man, what I'm gonna have for lunch tomorrow or what I'm gonna have for dinner tomorrow. So be mindful of those things when when things happen. So it could also create stress. Your financial goals get bigger. This is another one. So, for example, this could create stress if, like we said, with the first point, when we're making more, we're trying to do more without realizing the actual difference in the money we're going to have. So, if my goal might have been to save $1,000. Now I have a raise, so now my goal is to save $10,000, and I didn't even get to 1,000 yet, but I'm gonna jump my goal up to 10,000 because I'm making more money. That could cause me stress, right? So I would need to let me get to the 1,000, and then let me go up from there. Maybe I'm going to 1,500, or maybe I'm going to 2,000. Sometimes we'll set our goals so big when we have more income that we don't realize that we're stretching the goal. So it's harder, it takes you longer to get there. There's going to be more roadblocks. And, so that will definitely cause you stress. The stress, if you, or keep you stressed where you were trying to reach your 1,000. Now you have the stress trying to reach the 10,000 or even more stress because that's hard. That's hard. If you hadn't made it to the 1,000, you don't know how much money you're going to have different as far as bring home in your raise because you're quick switch your goals. You know, set your goals to what are achievable, what you can actually achieve. All right. So those are my ones that I selected to talk about today. So before we go, I always have my reflection questions. And reminder, today's topic was your income increase, but so does your stress. So, a question I would leave you with is, what financial pressure am I carrying right now? What financial pressure am I carrying right now? What's causing you stress when you think about it with your finances? Another question. Did my stress change when my income changed? Sometimes that's the case, and that's the point of this live. If your income changes and you begin to do things quickly before the new income actually sets in, before you can kind of understand what's happening with the income, that's going to cause you stress as soon as your income changes. Because we have to keep in mind those increase in taxes, the increase of deductions, the fees and taxes, put you in a different tax bracket. So a lot of things come with a raise. So be mindful of that when we get our raise. Of course, we want to be excited about it. We celebrate it. We're happy about it. But just be mindful of it when it happens and not move so quickly so it doesn't set you back so you have time to enjoy it, planning accordingly. Definitely. And what I've learned while doing this, celebrating 5 years in business, but what I've learned is clients who are making, 75,000 a year versus clients who are making $300,000 a year have some of the same stressors. Whereas it could be, I have so much debt. These payments that I'm paying for debt. Okay, so maybe someone with 75,000 might not owe as much debt, but compared to their income, that's causing them stress. Versus someone who has a 300,000 income coming in, she still has the same stress that she has. However, she has more debt, so it doesn't make her stress less significant. So they're both stressed. So, that's something to think about. And before I go, I'm going to tell you one last time, save the date for the 5 year anniversary celebration, which will be Wednesday, July 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next week, I'm going to send a link out so people can start signing up and register. It's free, but you do have to register so I can, get your email list, then get you on there so I can send you reminders like, hey, don't forget about it. We'll see and send you the link to get on and things like that. So yes. So I'll see you next week. Next week, I'll have the link to post in the comment. So I'm excited about that. I can't believe it's 5 years already. Time has truly flown. Some ups, some downs, but we're still going strong. I'm just excited. So but thank you for being here with me for Talk Tuesday. I hope this topic was interesting to you. I hope it was informative, and I hope it helped you to just see things differently, as I always hope it does. So I will see you all next week, right here, same place, same time, right here on YouTube at 6 p.m. Eastern. Just like I told you last month, I don't know when I'm moving. I'm going to keep going live until I know. And at that time, then I'll just put some videos. I record some videos so some can post every Tuesday. But of course, before I start posting videos for you to see, I will let you know in the previous live, of course, what's happening because I keep you guys all updated with everything that's going on. But all right, I'll see you next week. Have a good one.